Hello guys, Joseph here again. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, this is the second video in the series that I'm doing where I teach you guys how I trade the strategies that I usually trade. Now, most of you guys already know that I only trade advanced patterns and structure. I like to just keep it simple, and even with the advanced patterns I only trade 3 of them. The Gartley pattern, the bat pattern, and the cipher pattern. So I've already done a video explaining how I trade the Gartley pattern. So in this video I'm going to be explaining to you guys how I trade the bat pattern. Now we know that the bat pattern, just like the Gartley pattern, is kind of similar, anywhere you go. The only difference is how traders trade them, obviously. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an illustration of what the bat pattern looks like, and even all the rules that must be followed, all the rules that must be met before you can actually say this is a valid bat pattern that you can go ahead and trade. So first thing first, I'm going to go over to the chart. And just like how I started the Gartley pattern video, I'm going to do the same. The first rule in trading the bat pattern is identifying the impulse leg. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the impulse leg. And just like we know it, just like we know, the market can go up or down. So a bat pattern can either be bullish or it can be bearish. So what I'm going to do, the first impulse leg I'm going to draw, it's going to be an impulse leg for a bullish bat pattern. And that's going to go from the bottom left to the top right. So let me go ahead. This is the impulse leg for a bullish bat pattern. Excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead and label, just to avoid confusion, bullish bat pattern, and I'm gonna do the impulse leg for a bearish bat pattern, and that one goes from the top left to the bottom right. There you go, and I'm going to go ahead and label that as well as bearish. Change that color to red, and I'm gonna go ahead and label the impulse leg. And as we know, the starting point of an impulse leg in a standard general method of labeling advanced pattern, the starting point is usually known as X. So I'm gonna go ahead and label that as X. Change that to green, and the endpoint is called A. I'm gonna label that as A, and I'm gonna do the same. Just note that whatever I'm doing to the bullish Gartley pattern, I'm doing the opposite. So with the I'm doing the opposite to the bearish bat pattern. So with the bearish bat pattern, the starting point obviously is at the top. So our X is gonna go at the top, and our A is gonna go at the bottom. So here we go, that's the impulse leg. Now the next thing to do is to introduce, we're going to introduce a retracement, which is basically another impulse leg. So just like we know it, the market, you can't get an impulse leg without a retracement, just like you can't, the market can't just go up without coming down. So we're going to bringing out the retracement of this X to A leg, and we're going to label that as B. Change that to green, and we're going to do the same thing for the bearish Gartley pattern. So change that color to red, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in my B. Now the next thing to do is to introduce our one and only tool that's the only tool that we can use to identify this kind of advanced patterns, and that's the Fibonacci Retracement tool. Like I said in my previous video on the Gartley pattern, the Fibonacci Retracement tool is just a tool with a bunch of numbers in between, and also a few numbers at the end of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my Fibonacci. So as you can see, I'm just gonna put it there. Show you guys, for those of you who don't know what a Fibonacci retracement tool is. This is basically what a Fibonacci retracement tool is. It's just a tool that's got like bunch of lines in the middle, and all these lines are known as retracement lines, and the ones at the end are known as the extension line. So this is the tool, this is the only tool we're going to be using in identifying or even trading this pattern. So for a bat pattern, this retracement, the A to B retracement, now this is a very crucial characteristic of a bat pattern. the A to B retracement of a bad pattern, or the B point of a bad pattern, must touch the 50% retracement of a Fibonacci line. So to draw the Fibonacci line, we're gonna go from X to A, just like we did with our labeling. We start with the starting point X and to A. That's the end point. X is the starting point, A is the end point. Once you draw that, this is very, very important. This is what you're looking for. For a bad pattern, this B must touch the 50% retracement and cannot touch any other line after that. Oops. Just gonna sort that out. And this is a very important characteristic. So it must come, B must touch the 50% retracement. It can go beyond the 50% retracement as long as it doesn't touch either the 618 or the 786 or the 886. So if it comes and touches the 50% retracement, you got a bad pattern. It can go all the way there as long as it doesn't touch any other retracement line after that. Then you got a valid B leg of a bad pattern. So the next thing to do is I'm going to do the same thing on the bearish bad pattern. So I'm going to go X to A, starting point to the end point. B must touch the 50% retracement. So there you go. You've got a valid A to B leg, or a valid B point of a Gartley pattern. So the next rule in trading this pattern is to introduce another impulse leg, or we can say the A to B retracement, and this impulse leg we're gonna call it C. So we got the impulse leg, and we're gonna call that, we're gonna label that C. And we're gonna do the same with the bearish bad pattern as well. Oops, let me draw the line first. We're gonna label that. Let's see. That should be red. Now this is another characteristic of a bad pattern, but in this case, this characteristic of a bad pattern, the C point or the B to C retracement, is the same as the Gartley pattern. At least that's the way I trade it. So if you remember on the Gartley pattern video, we said that the B to C retracement must come in. So I'm going to draw that from the starting point to the end point. Because note, we're looking for the retracement of this A to B leg. So we said the rule is that C must touch the 382 retracement. And it can touch any other line after that, as long as it doesn't touch A. So C can come here. C must come and touch the 382 retracement. And after that, we don't really care where it goes as long as it doesn't touch A. So I'm going to go ahead and just put like just a red dotted line there, just to make sure. So that's the danger point. C can go anywhere as long as it touches this 382 retracement. It can go anywhere. We don't care as long as it doesn't touch that red line. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So C, let me just adjust that. I mean, that's fine, that's fine. So C must come in, touch the 382 retracement. You got a valid bad pattern. So let me go ahead and just draw this line up. So okay, so now onto the final piece of the puzzle in drawing, identifying the bad pattern. So this pattern, unlike the Gartley pattern, where you get the entry point by using the Fibonacci extension, in the bad pattern case, you don't do that. To get the entry point, or to C, or we call that the C to D leg of a bad pattern, you simply use your Fibonacci, just like the way you used it at the start, by drawing it from the starting point of the first impulse leg to the end point of the first impulse leg. So we're going to draw the Fibonacci from X to A. And for the C to D leg of a Gartley pattern, this is the most important one, because that's the entry point. That's the point at which you would like to buy or sell, depending on whether the market is bullish or bearish. So the C to D point of a bat pattern, must touch the 886 retracement. Let me change that line from the dotted line to the normal. Yeah. So this is the C to D. This is the C to D leg of a bat pattern. We're gonna label that as D. Like I said, this is a very huge difference when it comes to trading the bat pattern and the Gartley pattern. This is a huge difference, because with the bat pattern we use the extension lines, but with the Gartley pattern, sorry, we use the extension lines. But with the bat pattern, this is what we do. We do the same, the process, the very first step, how we use the Fibonacci in the very first retracement. That's how we use it as well. So if the Fibonacci, the extension from the X to A leg at the start to get the A to B retracement, is the same Fibonacci retracement that we use to get the entry point, which is known as the C to D leg. And the entry point for a bat pattern, like I said, must come into the 886 retracement. So let me go ahead and do the same thing on the bearish bat pattern. Okay, let me bring in my Fibonacci first. X to A, and we're looking at the 886 retracement. So just for show, let me go ahead and complete this pattern using a proper triangle. So use a green one. X to A, A to B, B to C, C to D. And for the bearish bat pattern, I'm going to use the red one. X to A to B, B to C, C to D. So this is the bullish bat pattern, and that's the bearish bat pattern. So obviously with the bullish bat pattern, once this pattern has been completed, once this pattern has been formed, you would expect the market to come into this zone, into the 886 retracement, and bounce back up. So you would, as a trader, if you see this pattern being formed, you would be prepared to buy at that point, at the 886 retracement. And if it's a bearish Gartley pattern, bat pattern, as a trader, you would be looking to sell at that point, because the probability of this market reversing at the 886 retracement is about 60% of the time. So you got a good percentage, that the market is likely to come into this area. If it's what's happening to my chat? So if it's a bearish Gartley pattern, bat pattern, you would be expecting the market to reverse and go back down. So as a trader, you would be preparing to sell at that point. So basically, guys, in my next video, oops, something wrong with my chart. Yeah, so this is it, guys. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you guys where you can place your stop loss and where you can place your targets. And I'll try and see if I can find a few examples on the charts to also show you guys, so that you can kind of get the hang of it. And so in the meantime, just keep it simple. And until then, I'll talk to you soon.